Hey there, it's Chris, and welcome back to the Yoshitaka Amano mobile platform project, where as you can see here, that's been the image we've been going off of for this project the entire time. And if you remember at the end of the last session we had said, I was hoping to get a lot of this kind of background stuff, a lot of the additional carvings we've been working on done, so we can get into the priming and painting phase during this session. Well, if we take this image down, here's what we have to work with. We now do have a completely nice, good, self-supporting structure down here. It's doing it once too, but life being as it is, I kind of ran out of time to, I'm running out of time to kind of get everything done, so we're not really going to be priming today. So, as I'd stated before, I still had some of the tassels to cut. I still have a little bit of the astrolabe here to do. I never actually finished the bottom part, and one element on the other side has to be done. I still have the feet, or the foot on the back side had to be finished. I haven't glued some of these things on, but I figured I'll wait until I paint them first, and then we can attach some of these things. It'll just make life easier to get around to stuff. But there are still a number of things that had to get done, and I'll be honest, I did the last recording on a Thursday. That Friday night, I went and did my 12-mile run, and really didn't want to do anything after that. Saturday spent way more time than I wanted to, or than I expected, on that ultra video, the ultra training one that kind of went out. So I got that done, which is good. But now I'm kind of running out of time to get all this other stuff done. And I figured if we're going to be on camera doing these types of things, I might as well do the more interesting of the carvings on camera, as I kind of stalled to then get some of this other stuff done. So on the back leg, I did get this leg portion in there. That's why this is now so stable. And I made the next part of the leg segment that goes up and over. But I haven't yet done the foot on the back side. So I might as well go carve out the foot, get that part going, and then time permitting, we'll see what else I can do to kind of fill things out. But yeah, I figured I might as well save the good looking stuff for camera, and we're going to go from there. And that said, we have learned some things since last time. Whereas rather than drill a gigantic hole into a little tiny piece of wood, what I can do instead is I can take the dowel, I can shrink the end of the dowel, just kind of grind around there. And that way I don't need to make a gigantic hole in the bottom of this, and it actually works a whole lot easier. Just have a little hole in there, pop it in, and it gives you the exact same effect. So this is part of the fun. We're always learning. We're always kind of getting new tricks and whatnot that we can then apply as we go forward. So that's what I got after that last video. I can just kind of do that. Ooh, I need to actually get my Dremel ready. So that's awesome. Also, I should probably stick something on the side here. Hey, let's go put our sidebar. Look at that back foot. So I'm going to be making some more dust, although none of this is really technically in the way. I just don't really want to have to dust some of these separate elements. So I'm just going to get some of these guys off. Hiryu has a way of falling off of him all the time. If you get a little bit of a vibration or something happens, and it just falls. But we can move those things out. I can take those guys out. Which, as you can see, I still haven't gotten to this part up here, and the bottom still hasn't been rectified. But I think I've had like 3 separate sessions now of astrolabe stuff, so we don't need that. The legs here have been the fun part to carve, and I'm hoping for you they've been the fun part to kind of watch and carve, so that's why I'm kind of going to stick with this as it is. So our goal on this is I'm going to have you not be upside down. I kind of want to have the leg come out. There's no way to kind of have my hand, so you're going to see everything. The leg's going to come out, and then the foot's going to come whoop, down kind of like that. Now, to give this some kind of structure, this one doesn't really matter. I can add a little glue to that. It's going to be fine because it's sitting on the ground. But being as this one's going to be up in the air, and I don't want to have just the glue holding onto this, I'm going to do the same kind of dealie on this. I'm going to go drill a teeny little hole in there, put a little dowel in this side, do a little hole in that one, put a little dowel in there, and that way that'll help hold it in. in addition to, yeah, that's going to be in addition to the glue that's going to be holding it all together. So I've already put a little mark on this where it kind of should be. And once again, you can see when I do it, I always have a little pencil line on the side. That's the direction I want the drill head to go. So I can just kind of, once you get a little bit of a start, angle it so you're hitting the right direction. And then go. Now we don't need to have that much in here. So, okay, and if I did this, whoop. All right, there we go. If I did this right, I have the same thing here. I have the dot is down in here, and I have my direction is there. And if this doesn't work, I can always make one of these holes slightly bigger than the other so we can adjust it into place. But it will give more, even if it's not 100%, it can give friction to the dowel in here. Alright, I can already see here. Did not get 100% centered. Kind of centered on that. You're not kind of centered here. So I'm going to go sideways a little bit and then yank my drill bit over. And again, even if the hole down here is bigger, the main goal is just creating friction on this so it has something else to kind of attach to. So I can then take that. I can shove you in there. That's actually in pretty well. And we really don't need to go super far into this. Just all we want is just a little bit to go in, and that's it. It doesn't need much. I'm going to get this whole thing set up a little nicer as we go. Just give me a moment. Get this thing kind of awesome. We just broke it off in there, so that's super cool. Let's try that again. Let's fail. Okay, so we got that. I see, where are you? I see you down here. Okay, could we do that again? I realize this is kind of a fragile piece. This is also not a dowel. This is a square piece because I don't have one this small. So I'm doing is just kind of take it, sand down the edges so it becomes round, and that's all I'm doing on this. So if that goes in, let's put a line somewhere like that. Not do this so it's up in the air, so we can be a little more protected here. Put that in, insert, and hopefully insert. Bam! We in there. Now that will break off kind of easily, but actually there's no real reason not... yeah, there is a reason not to actually install. It's going to be painting-wise, it's going to be much easier not having this physically installed, but at least for here, I can put you down on this, put it in there. Nice thing is, once the weight goes on the back of this, I put the globe in here, that foot can, the front foot on that side can 100% be off the ground and have no issue. But at least this is going to give an impression of the leg going out. And like I said, if we come down in here, we can now drill this foot so it does something kind of like that. It goes out quite a ways. And I have a little pencil mark on here where it kind of goes, but it's going to be something like that. Okay. So at least now with that in place, let's go ahead and try to duplicate this guy over here. I think after all this time, I finally found a way to get this camera kind of in a good place for this. It only took literally the entire project for woodworking, so you can see things and I can see things. But we in there now. Alright, so let's go. Kind of order of operations like we did last time. So, last time we went, we kind of drilled down the side. We get one more session here of this sound. But we do need to drill this down. I want to carve this down, give our element over here. And do the same on the other side. I just had to look real quick and make sure I was on camera, because I think, hey, the last video started out blurry, which is not a great way to start a video. And I feel like I did a couple things, generally speaking, off camera, so whenever I see that happen, I kind of then become a little more hypersensitive to what's on and what's off, so if I make little kind of weird pauses like that, it just means I'm trying to make sure we're actually on camera. And actually, along with that, this guy also comes down. I'm going to come in. Fingers. You also kind of come. So I did do a little thingy on the bottom too. Let's do a little thingy on the bottom. Okay. That's it. If nothing else, this just gives a line to go to when I use the drum sander. I do this when cutting tile all the time. I'll get my grinder out if we have to like do circles and whatnot. I just did a backsplash where we went up against a crown molding up top, all the way up the wall. And in order to get that tile to be like that perfect silky smooth going around, I had to take a grinder, grind the top edge of it to be nice, neat, and pretty. And then I go with other means to go and kind of then carve out behind that. But that's how I get a nice clean edge, is you use something like this, do the side first, and then you get these guys out to kind of do the real work behind it. So the scale of what I'm doing may be different from what I would be doing at work to get stuff done, but the overall idea behind it stays constant. If you have a technique or something that works, you can usually apply it to more than one situation. That said, hopefully the owner was super happy with what they saw when they got back home. They wound up taking the week away from the project and came back this weekend, so in that time we finally 100% finished off the kitchen we were working on. So, gonna find out tomorrow when I go back into work how that got received. Hopefully really well. I think it looked good. Typically when I think it looks good, the clients say the same thing, but it is kind of nice to actually see the response. It's not very often we have clients that disappear for a while we do our project, so this is a little bit of an unusual situation to not have the instant feedback on how things are done. Yeah, I know you see on TV, if you watch home remodeling shows and whatnot, oh, the client goes out for a week, the contractor does whatever they're going to do, The client comes back, sees the reveal, it's like, oh wow, that's awesome. But in reality, we like having a back and forth with the clients, and if you have choices that need to be made and whatnot, it's like, if you want this option or this option on something we do, because that kind of helps with liability purposes. If somebody doesn't like something, all of a sudden we're on the hook for something, whatever it is we're doing. So we like having a back and forth. We'd rather not have a client be gone throughout the entire process. But in this particular case, it's been working out pretty well, and it kind of makes sense. So not everything you see on TV is 100% the way it's done in real life. I know that's shocking, but okay, so what we did was we kind of rounded off the edges. Make it a little more centered. Kind of round off the edges, and then we carved kind of down and in. So let's go ahead and do that. What do we have on the heel? The heel got quite a bit skinny, actually. For a second, I was like, wait, am I holding the right one? Yes. Yes, I am holding the right one. We got this. Debated going out for a run today, but it's still... I would have, if I had gone out slightly earlier, I could have broken my all-time low temperature for heading out for a run. Which, if it were just a straight temperature, that would have been fine. But there was added wind chill, which would have brought that temperature down about 20 degrees below what my previous record would have been. And frankly, that's not worth it. So it looks like we're getting back into normal conditions again coming up in the not too distant future. But for now, we're just not going to do anything stupid. We're going to do things a little bit smarter. Plus, I've had a lot of this other work I kind of want to get done. I'm getting a lot of this kind of carving stuff done right now. And again, that video I just put out for the Ultra one, which I actually kind of like that one. But that one definitely took more time to put together than I had planned on it doing. Any kind of the presentation was not there I do that kind of involve slides and this kind of the fact finding. It was a lot of behind the scenes work kind of went into that one that may not come out in the final product, but it's one of those that's kind of had to be done. And again, I like the way it turned out. It just ate up. It just became a time sink in the end. And that's all there was to that. But I am glad I got that one out and in and done. Alright, we do have a little bit of a... We're not a pointed foot at the end. We do have a little flatness on there. Just kind of rounding that off. We've been rounding a bunch of things off here. Okay, now we need to make... I apologize if the shadow is going over everything. I can't do much about that with my lighting situation. Some things are just the way they are. And I figure with the camera here, you can actually at least see what I'm doing. Whereas I feel like a lot of times when I moved it into other configurations, like I get my hand or something is in the way and you really can't see what's going on. So at least here we can see stuff. Okay, we are... I can round you off a little bit, but we are generally kind of square-ish on this. Okay, nice thing in drum center is my finger can nick it a little bit and it's still fine. I just don't want to be doing that too often. Okay, so we have, so comparing the two, that's actually not too bad. Not too bad. There's going to be more going in there, but I think we want to do the drilly part on that first. So on the back here, what I went ahead and did last time, don't need you, was we took this, took a line that kind of went up. It kind of went up to, oh, about midway or so. I remember I drilled the holes last time before I did all of this stuff, and didn't really do that this time. And you kind of get cut down there. Let's get our... Once again, I have that bit. Where's... Did I use the small bit for this? Yes, I did probably use the smaller bit for that one. But let's still give ourselves an edge to go to. It's going to end somewhere around there. And we can kind of end it somewhere. We can kind of end it somewhere around there. Oh, geez. I think this is slightly thicker on the end than these guys are, because it's always so much harder to get out than these other ones are. Every single time, without fail. Also, I think it's time I replace the bit on this, because this sanding pad is not getting the job done anymore. Okay, so we got that. Re-square it off just a little bit, because again, that gives that concave kind of look to it. To re-square that, and then we are good. That. Let's get our little bit of sand, our little teeny sandpaper here, which I'm amazed it still has any kind of grit left on it, because I've been using this little tiny piece literally the entire project. Usually I think I would be replacing this stuff by now. Although I do have a bigger one for some of the heavier stuff. Sorry if I shook the camera on that, but it had to be done. It's not necessarily a 100% one-to-one similarity, but we're pretty close, as long as I can get... Just get a little bit of that front edge kind of let's see that. Get this little bit here doesn't look particularly round, so let's just get just to kind of make this feel circle-ish. It's like that final little kind of fine-tuning that we want to get. Okay, so now on the top, how's our back? Our back, right, I think I did a little more so we had like a tendon kind of look going back there. Right, it's all coming back to me. It's been a couple days, like I said, so sometimes we remember exactly what we did and sometimes we don't. So I need to do a little bit of tendon-ish. Kind of comes down. Did I have that do anything kind of on the bottom here? Not so much. I think it just kind of get a little bit there and it kind of just blends in to the bottom there. Let's just give a little bit of a rounded there. I think back of our foot is definitely not 100% the same as the other, but we're not super far off. We can just bring this up just a little bit more, not much, just again, these aren't going to be seen necessarily in comparison 100% with each other. So we ought to be okay if things are slightly different. I'm not that stringent on some of these things. Again, depending, if you ever want to do these yourself, you can put more or less time into certain details. I'm kind of just trying to, I want this to look good, but I'm not going to, like I said, I'm not going to kill myself over some things. Just kind of don't let perfect be the enemy of the good sometimes. I think that's kind of hitting where we want the feet. This foot's a little slightly smaller, and I'm actually okay with that. I do feel like this sticks out just a little bit farther than it needs. Okay, so that's good. So next thing is trying to get our drill stuff done over here. God, I love how this thing is stable. Even without you hooked in here, we are still very, very stable on this. Yes, I can push it over, but it's just that one hole, the very first one, it didn't want to be good. Okay, so what kind of angle are we looking at on this? So first thing is nothing. Well, now it's not stable. You were coming out before. Yes, I don't want to break that in the process, but it's like it was coming out. Okay. Yeah, so for lining this up and getting it kind of exactly where I want it to be all the time, as you can see on here, I have a pencil mark there, and I used to have a pencil mark on that side too, so it would just, as long as these two pencil marks line up with each other, at least I'm facing the right way. So I've been using that. And you're not being as stable anymore. Oh, no wonder why that that front foot. Depending what direction this foot is facing will make it stable or not stable. Okay. So with that, what do I want to see over here? So I kind of want, let's get you up so I have at least a visual on that. So you're kind of there. I don't want you to be 100% the same. Again, we're not 100% the same as the image on the side here, because the image on the side, he didn't make the 2 feet anything like the same. I believe this back one is missing one of these joints. This one has a joint, a joint, a joint, a joint. It has 1, 2, 3, 4. I think the other foot on the other side in his drawing only has like 3. So, yeah. It's going to be something like this. So if I'm facing kind of that way, I want to draw a line so we're coming in kind of like that. And now if I come down there, does that leave room for this to kind of come in up top? It does. Okay, so as long as I have that, we can put a hole over there. And I can kind of do the same trick as I did before. I'm going to start with a small hole here. Okay, now I don't know what size I want to necessarily make that, but what I can do, we definitely don't need this thing. I suppose I can move you out of the way for the time being. I don't need this to be as long as it is. The pencil mark is what's going to be visible in the end. So again, I don't need to make this the exact same wide size. It'll make drilling easier if I shrink it. But at the same time, there's no hard number or hard diameter I'm looking for on this. So we're just going just so it's smaller, and then I'll match a drill bit to it. And that's all I'm going to do on that. And again, I don't have a lathe, so I'm just kind of rotating this in my finger as we go, and the hope is I'm doing it even enough that the peg in the middle is actually in the middle. Okay, I just want to see, that is just about the size of that. So I could probably go just like, might be able to get just like 1 drill bit bigger than this. Whatever size that was. That was 5/64. Let's go 3/32. Otherwise known as 6/64. And we're going to do this until this guy fits. Went all the way out the back. That's fine. Again, this is being painted, so I can put some wood fill in there, and we all good. Okay, it will fit. It's just a little wider on the bottom than it is on the top. Okay, so now we have that in there. I've got this. You're supposed to fit that way. Okay, I like that. I like that. Let me just put This will be painted in the end anyway, but let me just put a mark there, and this way we know that if I line those two up, the imperfections that are kind of inherent with this kind of thing are at least being or pretending to be nice to me. So on here, we're going to do kind of the same as last time, just make a little divot in that to give that piece something to fit into, and we're at 35 minutes. How did that happen? Okay, so if you go in, that's too small even for that guy. I do have an entire set of these things. It just, this is the very smallest one in that set, and yeah, that's the reason I keep using the same one over and over and not actually switch to something else. For the scale of what I'm doing, is the only game in town. There is technically another one that might actually work for that. However, for all intents, this is the only game in town. Oh, come on. Hey, there we go. Okay. I wanted to kind of fit into a little bit of a notch rather than, yeah, the alternative, rather than kind of sitting on a little slope. Okay, so I can explain away one of my fingernails being problems. The other ones, I don't know. Okay, so if that's there, we want you to be approximately that. Let's go ahead and cut this guy. Oh, it's a little bit long. Little bit long. So close. And just like the other, we're going to shrink little bits at a time until it kind of works. There we go. We got that working. Everything is looking good. So all that's missing now is, on you. We see when I drilled that out, it splintered down here, so I went and did that nice little kind of carve on that. So now we need to, even though it didn't splinter, we kind of need to match the other side. So it's going to be a little further than that. We're going to come and do a little V-groove, kind of. Awesome, I just broke the piece. Well, we know how it is, or we know how big it is, so not concerned. Did I use that first? Yeah, I think I used you first. Okay, let's see. Just kind of round off a little bit. And we have ourselves, it's a little, like I said, it's kind of just a little quirky detail in there, but it matches up with what we're working with. So that's cool. Alright, that's it. I just snapped this guy in half. So yeah, this guy's going to be a little on the, certain elements are going to be on the fragile side on this by the time all is said and done. It just is what it is. I have so many parts on this. What part? Oh. You are probably that one. And that means you two guys together are the other one? Question mark? I'll have to review the footage and find out if that's the way of things. Well, actually it's not, because that was stuck inside the hole. And this guy is still kind of roughly almost sort of what I want it to be. So if I put you in there, that does kind of fit. Okay. We got something here. Let's go and put everything together. And we're gonna, I think, just call it a video after that. We're already at 40 minutes, so time kind of flew. Now we're gonna put this thing together, and we're gonna see it from the back side. The side we're never gonna look at this thing from, ever. Because this is gonna be the side that's gonna be up against a wall. Okay, so first, let's get the leg that kind of works. You're gonna go over there. This leg, we want you I wanted you to be higher than that. Okay, so if you're going down there, you're a little lower than I want you to be. Part of that is this wants to be up more. Well, it is off the ground. For what it's worth, that is off the ground. Does this look like what it's supposed to look like from the back? Can we... Too many parts. Yeah, so from here, I do believe I'm going to be playing with that hole just a little bit, just so I can bring this up something like that. Is ideally what I'm looking for in the end. Do I have something I can kind of hold that up with? Almost that. Let's see, I need a little bit of weight on here so it kind of stays together. I just want to see if this thing looks good. Alright, so if I put a little bit of weight on that, I think I found something that has some weight. Once again, that globe weighs more than you think it does. I guarantee. We're going to need to glue some things together on here to make this all work, but the general effect is the foot's going out in the back, and that's really what we're going for. So, if nothing else, this has now at least crossed another thing off the list. So all I have left is I can get really, if I get the tassels on here, this entire lower portion can get started on the painting side. And then it's really just, I can treat these as a separate issue. So for a video, I can do that, get that started prime painting, and off camera, I can just kind of then finish off these guys and get them looking good, because you've already seen enough of me kind of carving that, and it's not going to be much different than that in the end. So But that is where we are at present. That's in there. This does work. It just needs a little bit of fine tuning, tweaking, and just kind of gluing stuff in so it stays where I want it to stay. But otherwise, no, we're good. I like this. There we are. It's up. It is up. It's off the ground. And that's kind of what we're going for. Let's get that leg kind of back over there. Bam! We in there. We got a platform with legs. We have a platform with legs. Get any other awesome views of this? Kind of coming around. Yeah, like I said, this has been fun. I just ran out of time to not be able to finish this on camera. So hopefully next time's either, I'm not going to promise the priming and painting, but I would like to start the priming and painting next time. And I should now have enough time then to finish off the detailing things you've already seen me do once before. So we're in a good place. I'm happy. Hope you're happy. And we're going to take that and take this good mood into next time. And until then, enjoy.